You don't need a complicated outline to write a great sweet romance. You just need a simple plot structure that works for you. If the word plot makes you feel overwhelmed or like you're about to do something wrong, then this video is for you. Hello, I'm Lorna Faith, and I write in many different genres of fiction under that author name, but I also write sweet romance books with my pen name Melody Archer. I enjoy helping beginner writers who want to write stories that connect deeply with readers. Today we're talking about how to create simple sweet romance story structure in a way that actually helps beginners write and not overthink. You do not need complicated plotting systems, beat sheets, or a wall of sticky notes in order to write a sweet romance. You just need a simple, sketched out story structure that helps to keep you moving forward. And this is what I used a lot and I still use, is I just make a quick sketch, paragraph, a sentence under each part of the sweet romance story structure, just to help me know what the next scene is. I'm really a discovery writer, or a pantser, at heart. I do like to know what the ending, I like to figure out the ending of the story. If you are also a discovery writer or a pantser, then this will help you, because this is something that I use all the time. Let's get on with talking about a simple story structure that will help you keep moving forward as you write your sweet romance. So part one, what story structure really is. And I think we just need to simplify it. Story structure is not a bunch of rules. It really is, what it is a map. It's like a guide to help you on your way to go from the start of the story. It helps you to reach the finish line of your story. It helps you to answer one question: what should I write next? Sweet romance structure is especially forgiving because readers want emotional progression, and they expect a happy ending, and they enjoy familiar rhythms. And that means that your job isn't to be clever, but it's to be clear and consistent. And that actually makes your writing process easier. It's not about being clever, it's about just writing with those familiar tropes and rhythms that readers really want in sweet romance. Let's get down to it. I'm going to walk you through a simple 5-part structure that you can use for any sweet romance. At some point, I will be talking more about the 3-act structure, but for now, we'll stick with this simple 5-part structure that you can use for any sweet romance. And so you don't need to label chapters or hit exact page numbers. It's just important to understand the flow of a sweet romance story. So step 1, the setup, which is the beginning of your story. This is where readers will meet your main character, and at some point, not too far into, and often at the end of the first chapter or end of the second chapter, we'll meet the other main character. So if you started with the hero, by the end of chapter 2 or something, we'll meet the heroine. But if you started with the heroine, then we'll meet the hero. And then readers will start to understand the main character's everyday life, and what is that emotional gap in their life. So what is that thing that they really want? What are they longing for? So questions to ask yourself: what is this main character missing? And what are they afraid of? Why does love feel complicated for them right now? What is their past wound? Maybe they just had a breakup. Maybe they had a husband or a wife that just passed away. Whatever their past wounds are, these are things that you will consider as you think about the setup, the beginning of your story. So this section really sets up the emotional tone for the story, but also to your writing style and to the genre and the subgenre that you're writing. So for instance, if you're writing a romance, but you also have a subplot of a mystery, then somewhere in the beginning, there'll be a hint of that mystery. As you write chapter 1, there will be a hint of that mystery or suspense. Or if you're say your subgenre of sweet romance is comedy, romantic comedy. Chapter 1 will start off with that tone. You'll have the tone of romantic comedy, which makes it quite fun for readers. That's the goal, is that readers will understand your emotional tone right at the start, which is good because this is what will keep them reading. Step number 2. So first we start up with the setup and the beginning, the characters starting in their ordinary day. And then step number 2 is the spark. So the meeting and the early connection of our hero and heroine. So this is where the love interest enters or becomes important. What matters most here is the emotional contrast. So there should be sparks that fly. Most sweet romance, I won't say all, but most of them, most sweet romances are not insta-love, where they fall in love immediately. You might be able to get away with that. Readers often like, in sweet romance, when there's a little bit of conflict between the hero and the heroine, that they are, just not getting along and arguing maybe a little bit, or they just rub each other the wrong way. That might be a way to say it. And so readers like that little bit of conflict. Another part that matters here is when there's tension. So show, as you write in your story, show how external goals and internal flaws that were introduced in the introduction, in the setup, show how those are in conflict. Say the heroine just inherited her grandmother's, maybe she has a big, quilting shop or something like that, crafting shop. But perhaps the heroine, maybe she's been burned before in the past, when it comes to, putting herself out there with people. And so she's really shy. But in order to make the shop successful and to bring more people into the shop, she has to somehow, she needs to market and put herself out there in the community to draw more people in to her grandmother's shop. And so this would be a conflict of her internal flaw of having fear of talking with people, meeting people, and her external goal is to make her grandmother's shop successful again, because her grandmother entrusted it to her. And so those two are in conflict, right? And then, somehow you could bring the hero in. Maybe somehow he helps her with that. Another part that matters most here is that the heroine and hero are attracted to each other, but at least one of them says, no way, the last thing they want to do is fall in love. That's important, to have these little conflicts along the way. And another important part is they need to have a reason to notice each other. And so if you are adding the subgenre of mystery and suspense to your sweet romance, your inciting incident might involve someone in trouble. So in any case, whatever you have going on, at this point, you should be planning for the two main characters to meet, and, they're going to decide, I might be attracted to this guy or this gal, but there's no way I'm falling in love again. So that's kind of where they're at, right? It's this, I might be attracted, but I'm not going to fall in love, right? But this keeps the readers reading in a romance. So step number 3, growing closer, the middle build. This is really the heart of your story. It's where the two main characters begin to grow closer together. So here's what happens. The characters spend time together, even though they are both refusing to fall in love. So they're forced together. In our previous example, maybe the heroine, she's desperate for help. Like, she doesn't know how, she's in over her head with marketing, trying to attract people in the community to come to her grandmother's quilt shop that she just inherited. And maybe she has no idea how to do that, but maybe the hero is really good at that, but he needs a job. maybe she hires him and they'd be forced together. They'd be forced to work together. This makes it very interesting. The hero and the heroine are forced to spend time together. And then feelings start to deepen. So even though they're not ready to admit that yet, the feelings do start to deepen. And then the walls, emotional walls, start to crack because they have barriers around their heart because they're refusing to fall in love. But as they get to know each other, they're beginning to imagine what it would be like to let go of the fear that's holding them back from falling in love. And they start to doubt, maybe I was wrong to refuse to fall in love. And this is the place in the book for increasing emotional intimacy in a sweet romance. This is important. They still haven't solved their core emotional problem yet. So whatever they are afraid of. This is where first-time writers sometimes rush. And I would encourage you not to rush this part. Let the connection between the hero and the heroine grow slowly. Because sweet romance readers really are looking for more of a slow burn romance. So continuing on with this part of the plot, that they're growing closer together, just when the hero and heroine believe that everything that they want is within their reach, then something happens to prove to them that the negative thoughts they had about falling in love are really true. For example, if she thinks that all men will abandon her, she'll believe, for some reason, that he is about to abandon her. And on the other hand, if your hero thinks he is a failure and can't protect those he loves because he couldn't save other people in his life that he loved, then perhaps something that will happen that will make your hero believe he has failed to protect the heroine, whom he's beginning to really care about. And, he wants to see her protected. This is important that something happens at this point to prove to them, both the hero and the heroine, that negative they believed about falling in love is really true. And then this leads us to the next step in the sweet romance plot of step 4, which is the emotional turning point. So what gets in the way, or you could also call it a moment of doubt. So every sweet romance needs a moment where fear shows up, misbelief resurfaces, and the characters hesitate or pull back. And this does not have to be really dramatic. They're not cruel to each other. It's like their mistrust really is what it is showing up, and fear, right? So it could be something like a misunderstanding or an old fear resurfacing because they've been wounded in the past. And also, it's a choice between safety and love because their fear is telling them not to get involved. To make your book into a page turner, try to have your black moment or the lowest emotional point of your character. Try to have your black moment when your character faces their biggest doubts, and have it tied to the moment when your hero and heroine choose to hold on to their fears and their wounds instead of opening their hearts to love. This is when, after the characters have realized they've made the wrong choice to hold on to their fears and wounds, and they realize their big mistakes, then next is when your characters make the choice to love. And that's when they have their aha moment. So it could be that a mentor or a best friend says something, and why are you holding back? He loves you, or she loves you. Like, what are you doing? Maybe they mention something, the mentor or the best friend. The hero or the heroine comes to the realization on their own that it's their own fault for choosing to hold on to their fears instead of being vulnerable enough to open their hearts to love. And this is really the moment that leads into the last step, which is step 5, the choice and the happy ending. So this is where the character chooses love. Both the hero and the heroine reveal their hearts to one another, and they choose to grow, and they step into a braver version of themselves. So now they have said, no, I'm not going to give in to my fears. I'm not going to give in to those past, wounds, essentially. that I've had in the past. Instead, I'm going to choose to love, going to let myself fall in love. This is where the hero and heroine are vulnerable with each other. And so this would probably be an intimate moment in your story where they are vulnerable with each other. And if you want a really dramatic ending, this is where you would have the grand gesture, where at least one main character, and usually it's the one that has the most to lose in the relationship, has an aha moment and is ready to risk everything to get back to the hero or the heroine that they love. Readers or your audience really love the grand gesture, whether it's a book or whether it's a movie. And if you can add this to your sweet romance, that would be a great thing to add. In a sweet romance, this is where the conflict resolves. This is where the couple commits to each other. This is where the hero and the heroine feel loved and safe and confident about their future. And this is also where the reader closes the book feeling hopeful and satisfied. And that's really the promise of a sweet romance novel. A way to use this structure without overthinking. If this is your first time writing sweet romance, you don't need to plan every single scene. You could just write down 1 or 2 ideas for each part, for each scene. Write down emotional goals instead of detailed events. I really think that might be helpful. Go back through this video and what are the emotional goals? Plan your scenes around the emotional goals. And I think that will really help. It'll remove, I think, some of the pressure that you might feel, and especially if you're a discovery writer. Discovery writers or pantsers, sometimes we feel overwhelmed with too much of a plot. And so I think this will help, is if you can plan emotional goals instead of detailed events. As you keep writing, keep asking yourself, what part am I in right now? What scene should I be writing right now? What comes next? Sort of sequentially, what would come next after this? Those questions alone will save you hours of frustration, but you can do this. Seriously, sweet romance is one of the easier types of novels to write. You don't need to know the ending perfectly. It's good to have an idea of what their biggest fear is. That's what I focus on, is what is the main character's biggest fear that they're going to have to face in the climax. Because if I know that, then I know how to structure the rest of the story. If I know their biggest fear at the climax. And I also know what plot is a possibility if I know what their biggest fear is. There will be many different types of plots that can suit the climax, right? But for me, it's really a discovery type of writing. In one of my sweet romances in the Billionaire series, I remember that the hero, he was inheriting a silver mine from his grandfather, and that was also the condition for him that he had to have a fake marriage, right? But the heroine, I remember thinking that, okay, so one of her fears is that, she has a fear of being abandoned. That's one thing. But also to being in an enclosed space was also another one of her fears. And so then I was thinking, oh, okay, so what if the heroine would make her way into the silver mine, because, they were busy working on there, and she just kind of made her way to the back of the mine and started looking around. But maybe the villain followed her there and decided he was going to hold her captive in a dark mine. These are her greatest fears. This is how that kind of came about, that plot device. So that's how I knew around the beginning. I had written, I think, the first 3 chapters before that idea came to that, oh, okay, I'm going to have her so that she's kidnapped and that she is being held by the villain in the silver mine, right? And so that's how that came about. Often I'll first write the first 2-3 chapters, and then I'll have an idea. That's what the climax needs to be. And then I kind of write, it's like a homing beacon to me. I write towards that. And so these are just some ideas that might help you to figure out in your own story. The things that readers are really looking for in a sweet romance is that emotional consistency, a clear romantic journey. They feel hopeful and satisfied, so it's like a happy ending. Really, they're wanting the happy ending, right? Which we can give them. Just figure it out as you go. As you can tell by my own process, every writer is a little bit different. For me, I write the first 2-3 chapters sometimes before I will have what the climax should be, before it dawns on me, oh, yeah, that's what it should be. And part of it might be because I'm trying to figure out more deeply what the characters' wounds and fears are. Those are big factors in writing sweet romance. If you know what their fears, the main character's fears and wounds are, then you will know external goals, even external, plot devices that can come against them in the end, that also the hero will have to rescue them from, and it'll just make your story so much more interesting for the reader, right? And for you as the writer, because you do want to stay interested and be excited to write your story, right? But I just encourage you to begin, and I just know that you can do this. Start with these simple sweet romance story structure, and because it's just the 5 steps, begin writing that first scene. If you need extra help, go to the link below and you will see my new Sweet Romance Stories Starter Pack. It's a PDF, includes a plotting worksheet and other worksheets to help walk you through each of these 5 parts of a Sweet Romance story structure step by step. You can find that and grab it for free below this video. If plotting has ever stopped you from writing, I just want to encourage you. You don't need to master structure. You just need enough clarity to take the next step. And you're already doing that just by listening to this video. I encourage you to just begin writing your sweet romance story. And next week, we'll focus on some tips about how to write your first sweet romance scene. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video.